Basti, that table 4-2 joke was phenomenal. I can't believe
Thank you.
we've never done that in 7 years now.
But we do indeed have the most prestigious table in the room, and it is maybe occupied by one of the most prestigious players in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Joshua Schmidt not only has been a world champion before, and we see some Kashtira cards out of Joshua Schmidt here. Okay, that's unexpected, honestly.
It's not the runic stuff, at least.
Yeah, I mean, there could always be, but I don't think there is. Okay, we go with a unicorn. Very, very interesting. And I mean, you can already see it by the deck title. This is some Fiendsmith Kashtira variant, which wasn't very popular in the latest weeks, but all of a sudden it sparked some interest, and it has actually filled with a lot of hand interaction like this Ghost Ogre, and we have to normal summon that one. That's crazy.
And this is not going to be a Baron de Fleur, I can tell you that much, but we're going to the Moon of the Closed Heaven, and we're closely following it up with a Fiendsmith Requiem. We're finally going to see the Fiendschmidt.
Yeah, the Fiendschmidt is in town, and Kashtira Birth, of course, we searched that. And honestly,
I like that.
We were looking at the deck list, and there's so many cards being very impactful going second. So we were wondering whether this deck would actually just be a blind second deck, a deck that is just better at going second and wants to do that all the time. But did you catch who won the die roll here? Was it Josh?
No, it was Matt, actually.
Oh, it was Mats. So maybe Mats knows about all of this and just decided to send Josh first. That would be crazy. I mean, someone like Joshua, of course, people are going to pay attention to that, and we see that Mats paid attention to the combo here closely and decides to imperm the Lacrima.
I really like the fact that Josh brought a unicorn back before activating Requiem in order to play around us.
However, it was the Infinite Impermanence, so that doesn't help him one bit there.
I mean, it's always Infinite Impermanence when you have a unicorn.
Yeah, that's true.
True. Now the Requiem being equipped to the Lacrima. That's an odd fusion summon, but it's a contact fusion summon also, with monsters being equipped into Necro-equipped Princess, which comes out here. And I like how much just stayed completely calm with that impermanence there, right? Because
did he pass?
Oh,
wow,
we're passing Joshua Schmidt. This is the field he's presenting to us here on his mission of a title defense. I don't know whether that's very convincing. And on the other hand, Mats is bringing a deck that I enjoy a lot recently, that I think has a really good shot at winning this tournament potentially even, but let's see how good he can do here.
At least we can tell that Josh has at least one hand wrap, since he managed to get Princess and just pass like that in order to draw a card when he activates a hand wrap.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good catch.
Yep, absolutely. But there's another impermanence from Matt. And which one do you imperm here? Maybe you're actually going after the Princess because you want to deny the extra draw. Possibly it could also be the Unicorn because your extra deck is so valuable. Normal summon Mementolian Anguish. That's one of the starter cards you need, one of the starter cards you want. And the crazy thing about Memento is it actually is capable of dodging the classic interactions like Effect Veiler and all those kind of cards with quick spells. Like, for example, of course, the Bone Party, but also recent addition in Rota is Goblin Biker Grand Breakout. You might be thinking, hey, that's a Goblin Biker card. But of course, the Mementos also do have a Goblin, so you can just chain that, special summon out a Goblin from the deck, and dodge potential cards like that Effect Veiler that I was just mentioning.
And he added Tatsuno Chigo, if I call it right.
Yeah, Tatsuno Chigo indeed.
One of the best Memento cards in my opinion.
Yes, it very much is. So we brought back the Lacrima there. Was that through
and we're milling the trap card, and we have looked that one up before, definitely.
Fiendsmith in Paradise. Is that going to bring Joshua into Paradise? Look, Mats is taking a peek, so we might as well read that card as well, because it's not very popular, but now in the deck of Joshua Schmidt. And when I read it first, I was like, that's a good first sentence that you got there. Just target one of our level 7 monsters, which are easy to get, and we have one right now, to then just send all of the other cards to the deck.
But it's in the graveyard.
Now the graveyard effect coming to place. Tell us about that.
Yep, the graveyard effect states that you can banish this card and send one Fiendsmith monster from your deck or extra deck to the GUI.
And we sent Desiree there.
In order to, when Desiree is sent to the graveyard, he can shuffle back one Fiend Light monster from the graveyard and send a card from the field to the graveyard.
We sent the Tatsuno Chigo. So Joshua agrees with you, Mike, that Tatsuno Chigo probably is one of the scariest cards out of the Memento deck, out of the Memento archetype, and we immediately got rid of that. And the important part about Desiree is it's not destroying the card, because that might be enabling things for the Memento strategy. Because in general, as a concept for the Memento deck, they're trying to destroy their monsters, and then the fusion, and it is a fusion deck mainly, that is going to be able then to just simply fuse from the graveyard if something was destroyed, but we don't do any about that. Joshua's turn it is. Both turns very little, but I mean, Joshua might be the one profiting here.
Honestly, we were looking at the Fiendsmith in Paradise going, wow, this is a complete field wipe. However, this is just an interruption in your opponent's turn where you have basically had nothing before. This is such a niche and nice interaction there as well. And now we start the whole thing from scratch. Requiem is being summoned here, and now we're going to summon another Fiendsmith monster, another Lacrima from the main deck. Joshua is just chilling.
He is indeed.
And I think now that he has Engrave, he's feeling very secure.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, like, looking at the list, we were both wondering, Leo, why there's triple Lacrima of the Crimson Tears in there, right? Because that's usually not run as a free of. But now with that interaction on the opponent's turn, it actually turns out to be pretty impactful. So yeah, I do see it as well now. The Requiem now in the graveyard. This might be the new thing here for this YCS. The new discovery, this somewhat pure-ish Fiendsmith deck with a couple of Kashtira cards. I mean, we're running, of course, a Field Spell, the Unicorn, as you can see. There also is going to always be a Fenrir in there. And that's a lot of attack points there on the field. Joshua Schmidt doing the math, trying to figure this out, but with the Field Spell push, this might already be big enough, right?
Oh, true. The Field Spell is big here. Wait, this is...
You're getting 100 different... Yeah, 3 different attributes. And we're looking into the extra deck. I mean, you may as well take a peek, right? As long as Mats is not conceding here.
Wait, this should be enough with the raids off.
I think so, yeah. I do agree.
This is 2-8, 2-3, which is 5-1 already, and then we have 1-5 and 2-1.
I mean, you're the math doctor here.
8-9. I think that's Tom, actually.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, attacking. Okay, it still goes through. And Mats is picking up his card that was just banished, and we have a winner for game number 1, and that is Joshua Schmidt, as per usual, I want to say. What do we think about that? It was so little, but still so good.
I think it was keep it simple, just handle your opponent, and bring big monsters on the field. I mean, that's pretty much basic Yu-Gi-Oh!
Basic Yu-Gi-Oh! Indeed, yeah. Beat down with some 2K attack monsters, why not?
And we have seen the absolute strength of the Kashtira cards, I want to say. I mean, not really. That was really just 2,800 damage that was dealt there by the attack points. But
honestly, we saw that tendency in the last couple of weeks, like the resurface of the Kashtira engine in many different decks, because right now the format is pretty defined by those hand interactions, because Fuvalos as a new card from Rota allows you to draw more and more cards, to draw into those hand interactions, and therefore I wasn't surprised to see the Kashtira cards, but Josh now brought it to a new level, right? He was like, I don't really need any other real engine except those Fiendsmith cards, which always are going to enable through my extra deck.
Except those Fiendsmith cards.
I mean, yeah, but like, it's definitely... It's the ultimate level of it, right? Yeah. You have like a small monster lineup, and then you just purely rely on your extra deck, which is a pretty cool toolbox with those Fiendsmith cards.
And of course, also the million hand traps that he is running. This is basically all negates. This is extra interactions on your opponent's turn.
Yeah.
And this deck works well going second, but also going first, because if you go uninterrupted, you can just start with the Kashtira engine and then easily segue into that powerful Fiendsmith engine, put up some negates there. We've seen Desiree. If you can get your hands on the trap as well into the Fiendsmith in Paradise, and you have a Desiree, that's a crazy field wipe.
Yeah. I mean, Desiree with 400 is pretty much really good.
How are you going to beat that? This might be the recipe already. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
Actually, like, my pick for the tournament was Memento, but Memento didn't look particularly good there, honestly.
I mean, if you're getting Gear Suit. Yes.
Yeah. The match hasn't finished though, so it was just game 1. Everything can happen in game 2 and game 3.
Absolutely. So, how about we look into game number 2? Back over to the table we go, and let's see what this game number 2 brings. All right, players already shuffling up, so seems like we are almost ready for this second game. And I mean, Mats, his deck is designed to go first. It's already good at going first in the main deck, and then in the side deck, there's even more options coming in that will underline that factor. So I would be very surprised if Mats does anything then going first here. Okay. Oh, I see. I think he drew Gaddick again. I think we drew Gaddick in both games. And that is really, Total and Gaddick, the one monster you do not want to draw. And there he has to normal summon it out. And he tributes it for the Goblin Biker Grand Breakout. That's really not the start you want to have. Does Joshua have a way to stop that? At least no way to answer it. Okay.
But Basti, you are the absolute Memento expert here. What can you do from this two-card combo?
It's already a bit weird that the Gaddick is now in the graveyard, because Gaddick only gets his very important effect within the combo when it's sent to the graveyard, you know? And oh, Mourner on the Goblin now right away. Can we do anything about that? And no, I think we did have like somewhat of a combo, but with that Mourner on top of things, nothing going to happen. Joshua drawing to 5 cards and starting his turn here into a very, very small field of Mats there.
But don't call Mats out. Don't count him out, because there is one of the best spell cards set on his side of the field. It is the Super Polymerization that can find some light fiends in the process. However, it is a tough ask here, because Joshua can actually just go for a Requiem Engraver play and have one monster on the field and try to send the Super Polymerization away.
So, does Engraver work on spell trap cards?
Oh wait, I didn't actually consider that.
No, you can target a monster with the Engraver, yeah, but still, I think it's pretty impactful. I mean, the Goblin also is a Fiend, but it's a Dark Fiend, so that would be problematic. And then also, oh yeah, we're reading the Engraver. I think, yet it is a Fiend, but like that doesn't really work. We just go into Necroku Princess. Oh, hold on though, is Necroku Princess possibly a Dark Monster? Yeah, it is a Dark Monster. So this is the moment where we technically have 2 Dark Fiend monsters on the field, which would be, of course, a possible Super Polymerization scenario. Mats just has to, he has to decide whether it's worth for him to use his own monster here in this Super Polymerization process, Bo.
There's no way, right?
Probably not, but is Josh really going to give him another chance? Look, we get that extra draw off of the Necro Equip now too. Ay.
I can imagine that you're just waiting for 2 Light Fiends to hit the field.
Is that ever going to happen though? I don't know, man.
I mean, with the sequence?
I mean, when Sequence and Desiree are on the field,
yeah,
possibly it's a very good spot to use Super Poly.
True, the Light Fiends might eventually come there. Lurry is being searched off of Tract. Of course, activates the fact now. First Light Fiend acquired.
And he does it correctly. He puts the Lurry to the graveyard and then summons it back. Doesn't just slam it onto the field, as many players do.
And also don't forget that Mats also has an Ash Blossom in his hand.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. That might be huge. Interesting to see that he decided not to Ash for Tract. I think Mats is probably, his situation right now is probably best to be described as waiting for the best time to Super Polymerization and then maybe have the Ash Blossom to go after what's left afterwards. So we gotta see. Mats really, really trying to think this through, because if he uses the Ash Blossom and the Super Polymerization discarding a card, there's nothing left in his hand. So this Super Polymerization better puts in the work.
He really needs the monster that he's summoning from Super Polymerization to stick around for the next turn as well, so he can have some kind of plays, unless he draws into something like an Anguish that could help him out of the sticky situation. But now there is the sequence on the field. We're actually fusion summoning, and I think that we're going to see the Desiree sequence field here. So that is maybe a point for Mats.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that is also the only fusion target in the entire extra deck of Josh. It is just the Fiendsmith Desiree that he has. It's the only option he can fusion out there. And we have that here, and Mats is at the moment. Oh, Josh quickly enough just links them off here. So we are playing around Super Polymerization here, possibly. Oh, and that is the new Fiendsmith Link monster, Bo. Not another fusion, but another Fiendsmith Link monster, the Agnem Day, just released in Rota. That can bring back another monster, though. So eventually, it's still going to be 2 Light Fiends, right?
Yeah, exactly. He has an amazing effect to special summon back Desiree and then equip itself to Desiree.
Oh, but wait. What are we doing here? Is there another effect? Because we targeted the set card there.
I mean, Desiree was sent to the graveyard.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, that is big. That is really,
massive.
Really big. Polymerization is really
Oh, and Mats is going through his extra, trying to figure out whether there's any way to use the Super Polymerization here, and there is not. It's going to the graveyard unactivated.
Should have just done it on the sequence Desiree field.
Indeed. So Josh now cruising. For a Link 3, the Agnum Day is pretty small, to be fair. It's only 1800 attack points, but I'm sure Josh is going to get a couple more big monsters out of there. There is now the Engraver activating, coming back to the field by putting back the Lacrima.
If you're looking closely at the artwork of the Agnum Day, that's Engraver commanding the Agnum Day as well, so that kind of fits the theme here.
Absolutely. Josh commanding this game here at the moment.
Yep, sending away the Goblin as well. Now Josh just needs to decide whether he can win this game in one turn. No, he can't. Goes for a little bit of chip damage, so Mats gets to see another turn, is going to have another draw phase to try and win this
I really love
game.
the fact that Agnum Day used his effect on battle phase in order to have more damage on the field.
Oh, wow.
Wait, it actually is game already. How about that? Desiree attacking, and then we have it in the battle phase. We do have Joshua Schmidt taking a decisive, quick 2-0 victory there over his first round opponent, and therefore the mission of title defense is on here in Bologna.
Look at the hand that he also put down there. It was like, I still had Ghost, Ogre, Wraiths of Nibiru, and Impermanence. So
I guess that will do, yeah, for sure. That was impressive. Is this going to be the trend of the weekend?
I mean, the deck didn't really do too much, right? Memento, I know that you love the deck, but it didn't really put up a defense at all. There was nothing happening, and you said this is basically the worst start that you can have, and it was also interrupted by a Ghost Mana, so that was also tough luck on Mats' side.
For sure, absolutely. That were two very, very odd hands there. Both times drawing the one of Gaddick. That's like the only Memento that you like desperately try not to draw in your opening hand. Like all the others, there are some like that are also not great at drawing them, but they are going to be fine. But Gaddick is really the one you need in your deck. You want to send it to the graveyard, and he had it both times in his opening hand.
But which hand plays through Morna, Impermanence, Nibiru, and Ghost Ogre? I assume that Ghost Ogre is the least problem for Memento, but the other cards?
You're right, you're right. I mean, and that's probably, you have to say that about almost any deck in the room, right? And that's most likely the reason why Josh even brought this deck here to the tournament. It seems to have a good situation into the current meta decks. Honestly, this deck that I just saw there from Josh, it looks pretty good into the very popular, maybe the most popular deck at the moment, the Fire King strategy, to be honest. Because Fire King might be struggling against all those cards. Nibiru wasn't really seen a lot lately, but is really good against Fire King, honestly. So this might be the call of the weekend just to counter that matchup. And also, we were thinking whether it would be a blind second scenario here with this deck. If I could see that, and maybe that's a question to ask for Joshua Schmidt himself, if he wants to give it away yet. But if he sees that his opponent is on 40 cards, which might be a big indicator that he plays against 10 Pi, just going blind second against 40 card decks with this deck, it's pretty accurate if you ask me. Maybe it depends on the deck count if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, please.
I mean, at the end of the day, as we said before, it is just stick to the basic, hand up your opponent, and then going second, summon Unicorn, Fenrir, and you can break pretty much a semi-built field.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need. And I mean, you got to say, those hand interactions that he's running, they're pretty good at just being a monster themselves, right? Like that Nibiru, for example, that's already one of two monsters to go into Close of the Moon Forest, and then you're into your Fiendsmith stuff. So I guess that works overall. I'm very sure that this could be the call of the weekend, and we already saw it now in round number 1, which is crazy.
I also really like the Molcharmies in that deck, because even if you are going first, if you open Unicorn plus a Molcharmy, you can just normal summon that without any regret. With other hand traps, we've seen it in game 1, normal summon the Ghost Ogre. That can't feel too great to say, hey, okay, this is an interaction on its own, but I'm going to just link it away. But if you have a Molcharmy when you're going first, you're absolutely golden to just normal summon it. And I think it even probably feels great when you're thinking, I actually get value out of this card going first, I take it. And then you're Fiendsmith comboing all the way.
Absolutely, yeah. It's great. And I said my pick for the weekend now, though. What are you guys thinking? Which deck is going to win it all?
For me, as I said before, it is Mermaid.
Okay, Mermaid. Oh yeah, I like that one too.
I really think that you can catch players off guard, because not many players are familiar with the new combos.
Yeah.
However, we may have a surprise for that.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a deck that can go second and break any boards, and of course going first, it's an amazing deck.
True, absolutely. Leo, Solomon Grade once more?
No, I would this time go for Centurion. It is also like a rather basic deck, but I just really love the way it plays, and I know that many of the very talented duelists are going to bring that to this event. However, talking about talented duelists, I think we have the post-match analysis with Alberto and Joshua Schmidt. So let's go over to the analyst area.
Thank you so much, Leo. I'm here with Josh, so congrats for
Thank
winning
you.
round one. I think it's not always easy, to come back after you won last year. And how you feel?
It's a little bit of pressure off my chest, yeah, because like you always know, or I knew going in that I was probably going to be the round one feature, and obviously that makes you nervous a little bit, but it went even better than expected, so yeah.
And also, like before we jump to the analysis, I'd like to ask you, last year you won the Master Duel World Championship, and I remember you said, I'm here in Bologna just to see how it goes, and did you change something this year?
Funnily enough, this year I feel like I have better preparation than last year. We'll see if it's, it can't get a better result, but like we'll see if it's funny how sometimes you prepare a lot and then things cannot go your way, and then sometimes you just go and play your favorite deck in the format like last year, and it goes amazingly well. We'll just see what kind of day today is, or tomorrow.
Well, first round was fine enough, I think. Yeah. So we can just go for the first highlight of the match. And so I feel like, you summoned the Ogre. So, what was the plan there?
We do that a lot, actually, because like you don't always have a Fiendsmith card, but the Fiendsmith, like access to the Fiendsmith engine via the Link 2 is super important. So very, very often you actually end up normal summoning a hand trap because we play a lot of those. And in this specific case, it was an easy decision because I had two anyways for the Ghost Ogre. It was the one that I have 2 copies of, so you just go into the moon with it.
Okay. And I also feel like that, we can go also to the next highlight in a bit. I feel like at this point, is it that easy for you, or like the choice of playing Kashtira with the Fansmith? Was that obvious for you, like entering into the tournament, or?
It's been something we've been working on for a while, just because we've noticed that it was very good in this format to have access to a lot of those disruptions from the hand, like the Ash Blossoms and Effect Veilers and all that kind of stuff. So we were just trying to find something that can play a lot of those very efficiently. So we needed something that can work with few cards, and ideally also make use of like you saw in game one, like if you draw just like one engine card, which was the Kashtira card, and a bunch of the Ghost Ogres and stuff like that, we wanted something to make use of that. And Fiendsmith is perfect for that, because you can play the Moon of the Closed Heaven. So you need very little, like you only need 1 or 2 cards in your hand to be engine cards, and then you can get going, which allows this deck to play a lot of disruptions for like all the Snake Eye combos, all the U-Bell combos, and all that kind of stuff.
Which makes a lot of sense, especially because I think the meta is so extend, and there are a lot of different decks, which I think Kashtira gives a lot of consistency, right? We can go to the next one in a bit, and I think like here at this point, there's something cool which we don't really see quite often, I think, and. Tell us something more about it, because we don't really see Fiendsmith in Paradise so often, right?
Yeah, this was a relatively late discovery that we made during testing, is that obviously we started putting Fiendsmith cards into the deck, and I don't even know who came up with it. At some point they read all the Fiendsmith cards and they were like, hey, can't we set this up on the opponent's turn? And it's designed to do exactly what it does here, where even if you get interrupted on turn 1 on your, like I didn't get the Fiendsmith engine going on turn 1, but as soon as you have the Lacrima and the Requiem in the graveyard, it's basically like it will always produce an interruption on the opponent's turn by sending the Desiree from the extra deck to the graveyard, and it also produces like follow-up for the next turn guaranteed, even through a hand trap.
And do you also think that players know what are you up to in that specific moment, like when you do the Lacriman send?
I would expect most people, unless they've seen this now, they would not know exactly that Requiem plus Lacrima in the graveyard represents an interruption. They will look at my field and they will like, okay, I have to play through the Unicorn, maybe the cards in hand, but they won't see that one.
Sure, yes. And then for the next slide, just I think it's the seal of the game, basically, That's basically what happens, and this was more than enough, I think, for your opponent. And
this was just the end of game 1, where I expected them to just concede when I attack, but they actually let me look at the extra deck with the Unicorn.
Just in case.
I think, no, they said they forgot about the planet given attack.
Okay,
so without the planet, this is like 7,500, but with the planet, it's enough. And so I was able to look at the extra deck. And this is also where I realized that they play super polymerization, because I saw all the targets in the extra deck.
Yeah. And also, entering into game 2, where will you prepare against to play a Memento? How do you feel like it?
Luckily enough, Memento is a deck that I was also considering for this tournament. I was actually practicing with it, so I do know the cards. I think that is a big deal with a deck like that one, which has very powerful combos, but it gets even stronger when people don't know exactly where to interrupt it. But because we considered it as a deck to play ourselves, so we are very familiar with, or I was very familiar with how the deck works. So, I mean, I didn't have to show my skills in interrupting with it too well, because their hand didn't really push through much.
Yeah.
Because like for example, after the trap card in the first game, it was already done. Even though I had more disruptions in hand,
Yes.
I couldn't even show that I knew how to correctly use it. But yeah.
And I think speaking of which, what the deck is doing, I think if we jump to game 2, I think you already know what was going on. Like, I think his hand was not that good, let's say.
I mean, yeah, it was the one card. It would have comboed, but it wouldn't really have comboed through the thing. But this is the moment where I go. This is the thing that surprised me the most when we started testing this deck, is how much damage the Fiendsmith Link 3 does, because that's also a card that people don't usually play or expect. But it's like it attacks with 1800, and then it can quick effect revive the Desiree and equip itself to it for an 1800 attack boost onto it. So like the Desiree will be on, I think, 4600, and the Agnum Day itself is 1800. So that alone is 6400 damage. So like it's surprisingly easy if the sequence resolves to just attack them for enough damage, especially because Desiree also sends away cards on their field to clear the way for your stuff.
Yeah, we were making as well the math because we were unsure if there would have been enough, and then while writing the Agmon there, we were like, yeah, I think this is more than enough, right? And especially because, when the Mourner, stopped the gobbling at the point, I think it was like more, Mats didn't have much going on, right? And then for the next and finally highlights, it was just basically, once again, I think it was very right after when you basically popped, the super poly that was said.
Yeah.
Because we could understand that you were playing through some cards at the moment, right? Understanding whether the super poly could have been there or not, I guess.
At first, my instinct was to go for this exact play, but then use the engraver to send the set card. Not the set card. No, I can't do that. But I wanted to send the monster with Desiree.
Yes. Yeah.
But then I realized I hadn't used the engraver's effect to send a monster yet, so that was still possible with the sequence. So I realized I could even afford to send the set card and then do the Fiendsmith. So yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a line that was also good through the set Super Poly.
Yeah. And well done for round 1. Hopefully we'll see you again throughout the weekend. And thank you so much, guys, for watching. And don't go anywhere, because Ed is ready for some more content. Go on, take you away.